And let's go and introduce our players. Down to the bottom right hand corner of the map, the blue Zerg from Liquid. It's TLO. And up in the upper left hand corner from Team Property, we have our purple Protoss player, StarNaN. So, how is everybody doing here today? Who is hyped for what is pretty much the last game in the group stages to be played? I think there's maybe a couple more, but they're probably going to be walkovers. So this pretty much determines whether Property make it through to the playoffs or not. I think if they don't, then EC Visualize or ESC do. So if Property lose today, I think ECV or ESC go through, which would be a big shock as well, as teams like Invasion would be dropping out. I mean, Property definitely going to be a favourite team over the over the alternatives here, basically. So we have a very interesting opening from TLO right from the get-go here on Coda. 14 gas, 14 pool on the way in here. And that means he's looking for a little bit of aggression early on in this best of 7. Gateway on the way down here for StarNaN. And, well, just some chrono boosts coming on to the Nexus. New casting area? Nuh-uh. Just back at uni. I guess the last time you watched me cast, I was back at home for a few days, and I was dealing with all sorts of trouble on my laptop. Now I'm back at uni for another month or so. I don't know how long I'm going to stay here though, actually, as Nexus comes down for StarNaN, because I do my final presentation tomorrow. I might have my final thing on Monday, and then I've only got one exam to do at the start of June, so I might go back home for a while. We'll see what happens. It doesn't really make a difference, does it? I kind of like being with my computer though. It's so much nicer than having to navigate my laptop and the new version of XSplit. Alright, so Probe here just going to pop in and just see that gas first and sees these Zerglings starting to come across the map. That's the first 6 made and on the way across here with 2 more in production. And Nexus is quite early here from StarNaN. Is he going to be able to have enough up to be able to help deal with this? As Elder's on the way out, he's going to start his Cybernetics core now as well, but it's going to be a long time until he gets that Mothership core out. So this Nexus is going to be a little bit tough to hold, especially with speed over halfway done now, and more lings not only streaming across the map, but also being added on in that production tab. TLO only at 14 drones right now, only just now at the 4-minute mark, added on his natural hatchery. And, well, things very interesting right now as to whether StarNaN will be able to hold this Nexus or not. I mean, he took this Nexus before his Cybercore and before his gases as well, so it really is kind of the worst possible setup for him, as he just holds his out at the top of the ramp right now. I mean, if you wanted to, you probably could have. He's going to try and chrono boost the Mothership core out of the Nexus. I don't know if it's still going to be enough. He's got 2 Zealots moving down to the low ground. Speed's about to finish though, so he has to be very, very careful as to how he tries to deal with this. He's actually pulling probes down as well, which will kind of help to fight with these against these Zerglings. But now the Zerglings just going to run in towards that main base. There's not a Zealot left here on hold position on the high ground, and that's going to be a bit of a disaster now as these Zerglings make their way in towards the main base and StarNaN in a little bit of trouble. 2 workers lost already, now up to 4, 5, and this is damage TLO needs to do because he opened with very few workers himself, but StarNaN needs to not lose every single one of his probes, and that's exactly what's happening right now. He's got no real way to deal with all of these Zerglings. 12 workers killed in TLO, making it look easy right now. Finally, these Zerglings get caught by a force field, and they will go down, all but one. And this one Zergling makes it away. Oops, not used to the different mouse sensitivity after the weekend. This one Zergling makes it away as coming up to the high ground now. Going to look to see what they can maybe get done once again, see if they can get a couple more probes. Mothership core will help to try and deflect this here. And TLO just starting to take a 3rd base, and why not? I mean, he's in a position where he's going to be able to start just droning up and getting towards his own mid-game. Going to kill off one more worker here, putting StarNaN down to 14. He is trying to chrono boost them out, but I mean, right now he hasn't even got Warp Gate research started, so that's not brilliant for him right now. No game music, you're correct. I hate it. For some reason it always mutes itself on this computer, and I don't know why. Alright, so I do have a bit of a cold, actually, which isn't going to help my casting. It's also not going to help the fact I've got my presentation to do tomorrow for university, so that's a bit of a double whammy. So apologies if there's a couple of sniffles during the cast here, as TLO looking to try and maybe come up this ramp, but decides not to and backs off for now. Another sentry on the way out here for StarNaN, who actually has very few probes mining in his main base. TLO up to 32 drones against 23 probes right now. StarNaN just begins to start walling off his natural ramp. A couple of overlords just crossing the map, and TLO, whether that's a miss rally or what, I'm not too sure, but it looks as though they're actually headed over here, so that looks as though it's definitely a bit of a miss rally, rallied along with the earlier Zerglings. Roach on the way for him now, as well as a 2nd extractor. And we'll see what this will lead into for TLO, whether he just wants to get aggressive with a bunch of roaches and lings and try and maybe bust his opponent down because of the fact his opponent's so far behind after that early damage, or whether he's just going to keep macroing up. For now, we actually just see the burrow on the way, so you could see some form of roachling attack and then using some burrow to see what he can get done, try and hide the units at the front, knowing there's going to be delayed detection here. I mean, no forge put down yet, no robo facility, and he sees the lack of both of these in the main base at least. And I guess he doesn't see too much in the naturals. I mean, he can't guarantee they're not up, but I guess he can assume that they're going to be delayed to what they the time they usually should come out. So he might try and get a little something done with this burrow. 7 roaches on the way, and that's a few more roaches than you would expect to see should you just be making a couple of roaches defensively here, just to make sure that things are nice and safe as hallucinated Phoenix can start moving across the map. So hallucinated Phoenix coming across here, looking to see what it can scout out. A few roaches starting to come out, and TLO drone behind this. I mean, it's only about 10, 11 roaches or so, right? I mean, he's got 4 more in production, 8 out, so 12 roaches, and then straight back into drones. But these 12 roaches are going to be able to do so much, especially with burrow. Forge is now on the way for StarNaN, but he's not going to have a cannon up in time before these roaches hit his opponent, hit his wall. So he's going to have to be very careful about trying to deal with this, and he probably will take quite a bit of damage here because, I mean, what's he going to do? He can force field a little bit, but then the roaches just burrow, regenerate, wait for the force fields to disappear, pop back up once again. A lot of sentries though, so a lot of force fields available as the first 4 roaches start to come up this ramp and see what they can achieve as they're going to start picking away at this pylon, and these sentries starting to move down a little bit here. Another pylon going to be made behind this, realizing he needs to keep these gates powered because they're the only 2 gates he has right now, apart from the one in the main base. But obviously he doesn't want to go down to just 2 gates of production, so that pylon on the way will help out a bunch, as now he needs to probably add on a cannon as well to help against this. TLO should target down that cannon, it actually gets cancelled here straight away. StarNaN places it a little bit further back instead, but TLO doing some good damage here. I mean, he's going to pick up a gateway kill, and a couple of force fields go down, but the burrow comes in, and only 1 roach lost, I think, so far. 2 roaches lost so far. But I mean, he's killed a gateway, he's killed a pylon, he's forced cannons and extra pylons as well. Another force field, a couple of force fields come down. He's just wasting the energy of these sentries though, because every time these roaches get low, they just burrow and the force fields achieve absolutely nothing. You know, we're going to finally see 1 cannon finish up, and force fields this time will finally help to kill off some of these roaches. Nice pullback by StarNaN, but it's just not in time in fact, and he still loses 1 of those sentries. Back at home, TLO 1-1 upgrades, roach speed, pretty much everything he needs here for the mid game. As StarNaN still just desperately tries to build up. He's getting some more gateways now, he's getting his +1, and an observer on the way as well. Twilight Council coming down, so it looks as though he wants to move towards his 3rd base soon and perhaps start that +2, start the blink as well. Could try and put a little bit of pressure on, but we shall see. An Immortal on the way out right now will help against this early roach count, of course, and it means that these roaches are pretty much out of luck in terms of being able to do too much more here. StarNaN going to start moving towards his 3rd base, which is being creeped up by an Overlord, which will delay that for just a little bit while longer, and StarNaN sees that, he will probably begin moving over there. Roaches just moving around. He has a 4th base, comes up for TLO. I mean, again, he's setting himself up brilliantly into the mid game right now, as we have an infestation pit coming down for him, finished up already in fact. There's a single stalker going to take down this Overlord. You can see StarNaN's a little bit afraid. He doesn't want to move his whole army over here. He doesn't know what might be waiting for him. Doesn't want to move out into the open. Now he will come up here, get ready to defend his 3rd base. As again, I mean, TLO doesn't really have too much out on the map. He's got a lot of roaches, 18 roaches, but he's really going to need that further tech, and that's going to come in the form of the hive, whether it's going to be the, most likely be the Vipers. He's also got a Spire on the way. I would be very surprised if we saw Broodlords here, but I guess there's a possibility he could just be using that Spire for a Mutalisk switch after he gets the Vipers up and goes for a bit of a Roach Viper timing. No Hydras den at all though, so completely skipping out on the Hydras, which is so common to see here, as this set of rocks going to start getting targeted down. The economy's starting to look a little bit better now for StarNaN as his 3rd base is starting up. He's on 53 probes against 70 drones though, so I mean again, TLO really does just have a little bit more right now. If you look at resources lost, it's kind of interesting I guess. StarNaN's not lost too much more, but of course he's just been down so much on economy. It really will allow TLO to just really, I mean he's already allowed TLO to just tech up completely freely in this game. Hive on the way, Spire about to finish alongside that. He's actually started melee upgrades, so we might see an Ultra Cavern drop down here. A few roaches coming in towards this 3rd base, fended off. I mean, there's a lot of Immortals here, and these Immortals, if they move across the map with +2 and the blink on the Stalkers, he could actually probably get something done. We see Greater Spire starting up, so I feel this is the riskiest possible option for TLO. I mean, the Corruptors, when they come out, they're not going to do much at all. He's adding a couple of Infestors, but no Pathogen Glands yet. It means they're not going to have Fungals immediately. And moving forward, StarNaN going to look to see what he can try and do. A probe to the left hand side trying to set up a couple of pylons. Well, that's going to get shut down by these roaches. And one roach sent ahead to actually snipe down that probe. Roaches are going to start moving in towards this third base. Stalker's being warped in. These roaches might get trapped over here. Time Warp coming down to help slow them down. And, well, it looks as though they're just going to be able to escape over to the left hand side. So that's a little bit unfortunate, honestly, from StarNaN. He really should be able to move across right now and get some damage done. He does have a Warp Prism here, but this is the point at which TLO is weakest. But he's buying himself so much time. If these roaches just moving around, looking, threatening the counterattack, it stops StarNaN from moving across the map and just straight up killing him. Because again, what does TLO have right now? 37 roaches against 4 mortals is actually far from brilliant. 2 infestors as well is nice. Some spine crawls start up. He's once again looking to try and just counterattack here while he buys time. He gets a couple of mutas up to help against this Warp Prism, which has been turned away by the queens. And in general, I just guess he's just buying time again for these Broodlords to come up here. These roaches being chased around right now, and I don't think the sentries are quite in range to force field. Stalkers will blink forwards though, and a few of these roaches will begin to take some damage, will begin to fall. His 5th base might be killed off here for TLO, though he's probably not too worried about that. First Corruptor's coming in, and that's what we're really looking out for them first Broodlords to hit the map as roaches. Pretty smart move here, taking down that cooling tower and trapping these Stalkers on the high ground. And that's a little bit unfortunate here. Now these roaches are also going to be able to come around this left hand side once more and just keep StarNaN back, stop him from actually attacking. And the longer he does this for, the worse of a position StarNaN gets into, because he's got no real counter to these Broodlords which are incoming from TLO. He's got what, 6 Corruptors on the field right now, 7, about to be 8, and he's going to be able to morph all of those into Broodlords. There's 4 on the way. He needs a bit more gas to get the other 4 morphed, but that'll do him for now, as these roaches are going to come to the high ground here, see what they can do. They're actually going to start running in towards this natural, and again StarNaN just completely out of position. He's just consistently chasing after this Zerg army. Robo facility going to go down here, not the biggest of issues. I mean, yeah, he's already got a lot of immortals out. He can rebuild that. It's not like he was building Colossi. He actually starts up the Temple Archives right now, which is quite nice. Archons are going to be a great addition to this army, especially when dealing with Broodlords. There's a lot of roaches to lose though, and he didn't really gain too much, and now I'm a little bit worried about, yes, there's a lot of queens, there's a couple of infestors, but there's nothing under these Broodlords to really protect them. A big blink underneath will take down the Broodlords very quickly, and then there's nothing else really powerful in this army anymore that's much of a threat to StarNaN's army. But StarNaN's still a little bit afraid to move out, probably because of all these counterattacks he's been having to deal with. +3 is about to finish for him, and if he does want to go out and move on to the map, now is going to be about the time to do it. He's not really seen anything which has been going on here. He has not seen the I don't even know where the Great Spire is. It must be at the 3rd base, right? He has, oh, he's seen the Spire, but he doesn't know it's a Great Spire, so he's got no idea what he's up against right now, as a roach actually gets picked off there. Not sure how it got there. He's, just sitting at the front here and Archon being added in, but the longer he gives TLO, the more Broodlords TLO is going to have, and the harder it's going to be to actually be able to deal with this. Zerglings underneath this as well, they have +1 melee attacks, and with those +1 melee, it's actually going to be very hard for the Stalkers to just blink under, and there's not even that many Stalkers. He actually lost so many Stalkers up here before, with them roaches picking them off. Hallucinated Phoenix is desperately trying to see it. Now he does see the Broodlords, so he sees what's up, he sees what's happening. Now he's going to see the Broodlords on his front door. These couple of infestors, they have some fungal growths available, but the Broodlings are starting to crash down here. Now, the fungal growth is going to be quite important on the Stalkers to try and keep them back away from the Broodlords here. Zerglings and a couple of meters going to hit towards this 3rd base. Overcharge going down over here. StarNaN backing off, bringing in some more Stalkers, looking for that blink underneath the Broodlords. There's a lot of queens available, though. Some Temple might have to be warped in to add some feedbacks into this. There's a couple of robo facilities being started here in the production tab for StarNaN. See what he wants to try and achieve with these, as the Broodlords send a wave of Broodlings in, laying siege to this base right now. But the army's starting to come in from the left-hand side. There's a lot of hallucinated Archons here, as these queens are in a little bit of trouble, but the fungal growth slows down the advancement of this army quite significantly. Broodlords starting to be transfused here, but they're starting to go down as well. 3 have been sniped so far. A 4th goes down as well. The queens are trying to transfuse where they can. StarNaN's army supply is dropping heavily though, and very, very quickly as well. Once these Broodlords go down, if they go down, there's not much here for TLO, but it looks as though for now he just has a little bit too much. The Stalkers have gone, and with that, no anti-air remains. These couple of infestors have been key to this, keeping this army pinned back as best he can. At the same time, the 3rd base actually goes down. All of the workers killed over here, and StarNaN is in full-on retreat mode. He completely missed the one time he had in this game because he just didn't know that he had it, and because of that, TLO got up to this army which was just way too strong. Initially it looked okay for StarNaN. He was taking down the Broodlords quite quickly, but as the Stalkers died, the rate of Broodlords dying decreased rapidly, and from there It was kind of a one-sided fight. A lot of Lings here now. These Queens here as well. They've been throwing transfuses down for the last few minutes. As the Lings come in for the surround, they're going to block off all of these Immortals from retreating. This Broodlords will slowly close the distance. The Broodlings will soon be raining down onto this army. And there they go, raining down onto this, and Immortals getting cleaned out here. Broodlings chasing, and this is just StarNaN trying to stay alive here, but he's fighting against 3 units. He's trying to kill off these Broodlings, and he will be able to do it. And TLO is just going to wait, get a few more units out, another wave of Zerglings underneath these Broodlords to tank and to protect. Because of course, if Zerglings underneath these Broodlords, it means if Stalkers blink underneath them, they're just going to die to the Zerglings, especially with Adrenal Glands on the way, +2, +3. You can just see these Zerglings already so effective, and here we go. Actually, TLO just going to attack into this. Broodling's going to drop down onto this army. GG is called, and TLO takes game number 1 here for Team Liquid. And as always, Team Liquid